off-season workouts for lacrosse players or any athletes. Then we're going to settle an age-old debate, and we're going to finish off with the movie of the day. I feel a real positive aura coming from that segment. Off-season workouts. Here we are, weeks before Thanksgiving. Fall ball has come to an end, and you have vacation in the horizon. You have exams on the other side of that vacation. You got your besties planning big nights out and lots of fun. A lot of temptation. A lot of opportunities to take her easy, like the dude for Big Lebowski. I don't know about you, but I take comfort in that, knowing he's out there, the dude, taking her easy for all us sinners. But this is the one time in any context that I would prefer you not be the dude. Now is not the time to take it easy. Now is the time to get an upper hand on your competition, your opponents, your competition on your team's depth chart, your competition with your own self. You're trying to become the best version of yourself, so why not work a little bit harder in the off season, in these weeks leading up to the beginning of your spring practices? Now's a great opportunity for you to learn the phrase that good players become great players when no one else is watching. The work that's done when the lights are off helps the work get accomplished when the lights come on. It's cliche city in here on the BCS. Sincerely. And I can tell you, I was guilty as anyone as a high school lacrosse player. I was tied up in hockey season and did not spend a lot of time on lacrosse in the off season. As a college lacrosse player, I spent a lot of time playing ice hockey in the off season. And when I did spend time working on my stick work, I was kind of just banging the ball against the wall. Standing there, work 50 right, 50 left, 50 right, 50 left. And I want to tell you, if I could look back, I would have done something more creative. I would have done something more game-like. I would have done something more intense than banging at 50 right, 50 left, 50 sidearm lefty. I would have done what my friend Chris Pollock did. Chris Pollock was a 3-time All-American midfielder at Roanoke College, and he invented this little drill on his shooting wall near the gym. He was a left-handed kid. He would drive lefty, split to righty, shoot a hard bouncer. The ball would hit the ground, hit the wall, and then he would break away from the wall and catch it over the shoulder right-handed. So now he is getting a drill where he's starting with his dominant hand, splitting to his non-dominant hand, shooting with his non-dominant hand, and then breaking away into where he has to make a play quickly. He's got to slam on the brakes, quickly break away, and catch what would then be an outlet pass. And he was a two-way midi, so it fit perfectly into that. I had a nice talk with Morgan Cook today. She told me in her off-season workouts one year, they took a inner-city surf-type class where they were actually on concrete, and it wasn't surfing, but they used one of those flat balance boards and played wall ball using those. And she used the phrase, she was sore in places where she didn't know she had places. So there's opportunities to build that core strength, which that's going to do. Build that quickness like my man Curtis did. Build your own confidence. Find a way to become the best possible version of yourself in the off season. That's going to help you get on the field. That's going to help you make all-conference, all-American, or good luck, good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. You might end up a national champion. And that's something that off-season workouts can really help you accelerate your training. Another thing that a lot of kids can benefit from in the off-season is film review. A friend of mine, kid that I know who is now a college coach, who shall remain nameless for this example, called me one time. He was a sophomore in college, and he wasn't playing as much as he thought he should have in fall ball. And I asked him, what were his plans to change that? And he said, well, I'm going to work, 50 righty, 50 lefty, and I'm going to hit the wall, and I'm going to do some weightlifting. And my response was, and I was close enough with this young man where I was able to say, that sounds like what everyone else is going to be doing. So how are you going to make it unique? And his game was very strong as a carrier and as an assist guy. He decided, and he and I kind of whittled it away to, how about film study? How about go into the assistant coach, the offensive coach's office 3 or 4 times a week and watch film of yourself, of your team and your teammates, and your opponents, your upcoming opponents, even the teams you're going to scrimmage, so that you have an idea where your upcoming defender carries his stick when he's guarding the ball. Where does he have his head? Where's he looking when he's off ball? These are all incredibly important aspects of being a good offensive lacrosse player. He learned a ton during that off-season of film review. So sometimes off-season workouts don't have to be blood, sweat, and tears. They can be eyes and keyboards and film review. And it's going to help you get that leg up on your competition, because sometimes the competition's in the locker next to you. Sometimes your competition's in the team across the street or up the road. The good news for that young man is he ended up starting. He graduated from his college as the all-time assist leader, and they won a national championship. So it was a nice time, and he and I are still in pretty regular contact because he is a college lacrosse coach. He's a great kid, decent golfer, wears a nice white belt, which in the summertime, you got the courage to wear a white belt, have at it. Go get it. Now, I'm going to return to off-season workouts one last time at the end of the BCS today. But now we're going to get into the bonfires versus hot tubs age-old debate. Because, friends, it's been happening, and people want to know. There's things that we're going to teach you here today that you won't learn anywhere else. And I'm happy and proud to be the one to help you walk through it. And I got to tell you, I got a lot of help with this from some colleagues, some experts in the business. You want to compare hot tubs to bonfires. Okay, the first thing you're going to have to do is make a pro and con list. And if you're my age, I'm 54 years old. If you're my age, you talk pros and cons, you immediately think of Rachel and Ross from Friends, in the episode of Friends when Ross and Ross made the pro and con list. And unfortunately for Ross, Rachel found the list. You can't talk about Friends without thinking of Joey Tribbiani. How you doing? That brings up the old memory. My friend Ed Roach had a station wagon. He was a big station wagon guy. He drove a station wagon all through college and probably the first 10 years after college. Not exactly a chick magnet mobile, but Ed Roach drove a nice station wagon and taped on the dashboard on shotgun right there. Literally had a newsprint. I don't know where he found it, but Ed Roach, a resourceful young man. He had taped to the dashboard in very large, probably 32 to 45 point font. Literally, it said, "So, how you doing?" But Joey Tribbiani made the line famous. Ed Rowe is the one who put it to the most use. Let's look at bonfires. Pros and cons of bonfires. Pro of bonfire. The first thing you think of, a lot of snuggling, a lot of sitting next to your significant other, some whispering, some giggling, some fun. It's very inclusive. There's normally a lot of people involved in a bonfire. I hesitate to say campfire just because you start thinking of different aspects of then you're in it for the whole night. That we're talking about an experience of a couple hours. You have to make sure you have an inclusive bonfire. The other thing about the bonfire is it's accessible, a lot of very easy in and out. That's what she said. Michael J. Scott loves the "that's what she said" line. Now, you have to be able to also bring s'mores, because now you're getting some nourishment. It's easy to eat while you're at a bonfire. It's very social, very fun time to get the accessible in out. That's what she said. The s'mores, it's very inclusive, a lot of people. Let's look at one last pro on the bonfire, and that is, for those of you who do, smoking you can do at a bonfire. That also takes us right to the first con of the bonfire, and that is smoking. You get a lot of smoke on you, you're going to smell like smoke, and if the wind is blowing the wrong direction, you're going to end up inhaling this. There's nothing wrong with going home, having been at a great bonfire, and you end up, your clothes smell like smoke. As a side note, bonfires don't have to be in the winter time. They can simply be any time of year. You can go ahead and start a bonfire. You can be on the beach. Bonfire, you see that obviously in the movie Point Break. They had a great bonfire. You can also think back to, the fact I worked on the Chesapeake Bay for 6 summers. A lot of windsurfing, a lot of water skiing, a lot of fun. But we had bonfires on the beach once every 3 weeks, depending on the night. And that's how I'm able to speak to this, because I've experienced it. Another con of the bonfire, we talked about how people smoking cigarettes is wildly irritating now, but another con of the bonfire is you have to have someone who can actually start the fire. A lot of people throw a little gas on there. That's perfectly fine by me, as long as the wood's burning. But if the wood's wet, it's a chore. You have to make sure that you get the fire going. And sometimes I went to a bonfire a couple summers ago, and it rained, and the wood was wet, and they had no way to even get the wood to burn. So it was kind of interesting to have a fire pit with no fire. The other aspect of bonfires that's a little bit of a challenge is, do you need a permit for where you are? Is there paperwork that you actually have to file in order to have a successful one? And the wind blowing the smoke at the people who are fireside could be a real irritant, and that's something that we always have to consider with a bonfire. Let's go to the hot tubs. I mean, let's be honest, who hasn't wanted to say that for a long, long time? Let's go to the hot tub. Hot tubs, the pros. You feel like you're healing yourself. Whether you get to be my age, you feel like everything's sore. You get in the hot tub, you feel like everything's not as sore as it was. So there's that soothing component of a hot tub. You're getting in there. You're feeling a little bit, there's sexuality involved with being in a hot tub. You got a little sexiness going. All of a sudden you feel like you're a contestant. All of a sudden you feel like you're a contestant on The Bachelor. All of a sudden you feel like you're going to end up in the fantasy suite. But maybe not. Maybe you'll get your heart broken. Who knows? But you definitely want to think about there's a component of sexiness to being in a hot tub. It's a little bit interesting. Another pro of the hot tub might be the seclusion or the personal aspect of it, where you're just in there with you and your little smoopy. So that's a component that could be a huge positive. Let's start talking about the cons, the negatives of the hot tub. First of all, and I carry myself as a little bit of a germaphobe, and when I say a little bit of a germaphobe, I mean a lot of it of a germaphobe, but there's a lot of germs in there. I mean, they're like festering in there. You almost feel like if you don't see a Band-Aid, there might still be a Band-Aid in there. You just don't see it yet. So the germs. The other interesting component of hot tubs is you're getting soaked. There's no hard way. There's no easy way to get in and out of a hot tub without soaking wet. So you're committed. You're not it for just dabbling. You go to a bonfire, you can get and go as you please. You can also get up and go to the bathroom. You go to a hot tub. I'll just let your mind wander on the fact that people have to go to the bathroom every now and then. And, so be that as it may. That makes it a little tougher. The hot tub can be very exclusive. That can be also a negative. Social people tend to, prefer to be in large groups. Funny stories work better with a lot of funny people around, and hot tubs don't tend to get that. The other component of the hot tub is, the indoor hot tub. You're at a nice hotel. I stayed at a very nice, swanky hotel. I don't mind telling you, it was the Four Seasons down in downtown Baltimore, and they have a hot tub. But you get those randoms who come strolling through, and they want to jump in the hot tub, and you're in there with your Smoopy, and all of a sudden you got, 4 other people, and that makes it a little bit less comfortable. I'm not going to say uncomfortable. You're saying that to yourself right now. So it's a little less comfortable to be in the hot tub with a bunch of randoms. That is the evidence that I'm bringing forth. Now, I'm going to let you decide which is better, the bonfire or the hot tub. But I will tell you, my vote is for the bonfire. I think bonfires are very inclusive. I've had a ton of great times. I worked on the bay, I said that earlier, for 6 summers, and we had a complete and total blast. And it was amazing to be able to do that. The bonfire brings so many people. Feel free to use the comment section below this and cast your vote. You vote in hot tub, you vote in bonfire. You can click on the comments. You should subscribe to the YouTube page. We do this for your fun, for your benefit. And if you don't think it's for your fun, let me move a little bit this way, and you can see the picture that comes a little bit clearer into view. We like to refer to that picture as Fat Booker. And if you can't laugh at yourself, don't laugh at other people. that really is me. Right there. Right there. My man Sebastian Martinez did a great job setting up my little man cave here. Pelly Lindbergh up there with the great one, Wayne Gretzky. A couple other pictures that you can see. I'm blocking the Led Zeppelin poster, so you can check those guys out. And then, of course, there's a picture of me at Whistler coming off the rocks, snowboarding. And yes, that is, in fact, me. Happy days are here again. Let's get to the movie of the day. I gave you a little bit of a clue, and I'm sure a lot of my buds figured out the movie of the day today is Happy Gilmore. Feel a lot of positive energy, positive aura coming out of you. It's like a carousel. It goes around. You put your quarter in, you get on the horse. Goes up and down, goes around. You want to harness the good energy, block the bad. Harness good, block bad. Psycho. Now, Shooter McGavin is a kind of interesting character. You got to love an actor who's willing to dive on the grenade. We'll get to Ben Stiller's role in Happy Gilmore because he was fabulous. But when it comes to Shooter, the only thing I can tell you about Shooter is stay out of my way. Listen to what I say, or you'll pay. I just may go down by the bay, eat some hay. What a great moment. And let's not get into what Shooter eats for breakfast, because he eats pieces for breakfast. So let's leave that on its own. The other character that I think is underrated in the movie Happy Gilmore is Mr. Larson, the guy who played Jaws in one of the what movie was that? Was it Burt Reynolds, Smokey and the Bandit, or one of those? And he also played characters in some James Bond movies. But when he was Mr. Larson, he was absolutely fantastic. When he uses the line, "That's 2 thus far, Shooter," Shooter turns around, "Oh, good, you can count, and you can count on me waiting for you in the parking lot. You got to love that. Then Bob Barker appears in Happy Gilmore. And Bob Barker, he didn't want a piece of you. He wants the whole thing. And he does, in fact, kick the crap out of Happy Gilmore. So there's nothing wrong with the boss getting knocked on his ass every once in a while. Use the comment section below and tell me what line that is, what movie that line's from. Lastly, the character of Ben Stiller. You just pulled landscaping duty. My fingers hurt. And then, of course, when she sits down and says, could I trouble you for a nice warm glass of water because it helps me fall asleep? You can trouble me for a nice warm glass or shut the hell up. You got to love that one. I'll tell you this before we sign off. Happy has the best line when the folks tell him, hey, there's a tournament tomorrow over at the club. You should play. Oh, yeah, it sounds great. Let's review the off-season workouts because that's really what I wanted to hit you with today. Good players become great players when no one else is watching. The plays you make when the lights are off help the plays become successful when the lights are on. And like I said, they're cliches for a reason. Don't just go out there and throw the ball against the wall. Do it with a purpose. Get creative. Invent something or do something you know you're going to do in a game. But standing and crease cranking is no way to be all conference. And don't ignore film review because film review is awesome. You talk about film review. One of the things that we got a great opportunity to talk about was the Callback Academy. I've been a part of the Under Armour All-American Underclass tryouts since their inception. That underclass tryout every late spring, early summer is the single best showcase event that exists and the most heavily recruited. I realize that there are other companies that do a great job with some showcase events. Maverick Showtime's awesome. Adrenaline does a thing out on the West Coast that's fantastic. But from everyone I've talked to, the Under Armour Underclass tryouts are the premier showcase occasion for high school lacrosse players, both boys and girls, both in the younger division and the older division. It was this time last year when Under Armour came to Corrigan Sports and said, is there a possible way that you can build this brand bigger and even better and get the level of play up? And they put us in a room and we hashed out a way to get just the kids who are invited to the callback game in their specific region to then come and compete at a level as high as possible. And it seems to have worked. We got almost 400 kids or more coming down to Richmond, Virginia, and college coaches will be watching online. We've encouraged college coaches to reduce their carbon footprint and not drive all over God's green earth to look at little Timmy throw a ball. We're trying to help college coaches be able to see 3 fields at once. If they're there to watch Timmy and Ricky subs out, they can click a button and watch Timmy and then go back and watch Ricky when he comes back in the game. It might sound confusing, and I may have just confused you. Maybe I didn't. The Callback Academy is a premier event, and it's unbelievably well run. Huge shout out to Andy Biello and Kelly Sullivan. Sorry, Kelly Sullivan. But they've poured themselves into the event with the organizational component. And I think that all the players, as well as the coaches that are in attendance, we have a ton of high-level D1 coaches, head coaches from Hopkins men's and women's, head coaches from Maryland men's and women's. We got my man Kev Culligan coming back down from Notre Dame, Yale coach Andy Shea, Tills, Kathy Reese, Jen Adams, Janine Tucker, Dave Petramala. All those folks are there. We got strength and conditioning people. We got the sports psychologists coming down. It's all people that are there to help you become the best possible version of yourself. And that is what coaches are in the business of doing. I talked a little bit last time about how coaches are involved with teams. They want that team to become the best possible version of itself. And you can never really measure the success of a team until 20 or 25 years after those kids have graduated, because then you know how employable they are, how friendly and how amazing they are as far as keeping in touch with the people they have meaningful connections with, and being loyal and faithful husbands, fathers, teachers, coaches, giving back to the game. So thank you very much to all those. Thanks for your time today. I'm Booker Corrigan, reminding you